Woo! Good morning, Megan Mamet. Good morning.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? Today we
Morning.
got Brian Maurice with us this morning. This fine day. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing wonderful.
Fantastic. So, you're coming in from? Where are you coming in from?
From right outside New Orleans.
Right.
Nolans.
Nolans.
No. I got a Nolans coffee right now too. Look at that, Brian.
That's
we
right.
can talk about that later too.
I got
Look at
my
Look at
cold
that.
brew and I got it in my
Yeah.
Cruitux cup. So how you like that?
Cruitux.
It's,
Oh my God, you guys are crazy with all this cold.
They don't know what Cruitux is, man. Like, they don't know about the toilet paper. They don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
That's a cool thing about interviewing people from all over the planet, right? It's just so neat because it's so many different kinds of markets. It's just kind of fun to have those kinds of conversations.
No, for sure. Different cultures, different ways of living, and it's been
Well,
neat meeting so many for sure.
Well, I used to do. We do the sales simulator kind of thing on our in our team, right? Or sorry, in our network in Home City. And I remember last year I was doing a simulator at one of the Mega Momentum challenges that we ran in October, and we were practicing our script conversions, right? So you got the phone calls coming in, you get a buyer lead coming in or a seller lead coming in, and you practice your script conversion. And just by listening to all the different agents from all the different walks of life and the different places and their primary operating territories, it was, and I've done this for a long time, but still, it was night and day. How they interact with the customers, how they're interacting with their current market. Like their script conversions was telling me exactly what's going on in their current market. It was really cool.
It is for sure. Well, guys, today we got an exciting person, a good friend of mine, fellow colleague, business partner, Mr. Brian Maurice. He's how long you been in the business now? It's probably over 2.5, maybe 3 years. How long it's been, Brian?
Yeah, it's been about 2.5. It'll be three. Be 3 in July.
Right on.
It was funny, man. When I stopped in New Orleans the other day, I stopped at that PJ's coffee shop on Veterans, and I was even like, I told Lauren, I said, it's funny.
Yeah.
This is the first time I met Brian, right
I
here in this
remember that.
coffee shop, and you decided to join business. Well, man, welcome to the Mega Momentum, man. I'm super excited. I know you and I have been trying to get you scheduled. You've been crazy busy, man. Your real estate business is booming. So give everybody who you are, what you do. Give everybody a good introduction, man. You got a great audience. Introduce yourself here.
Yeah, so I hopped into the agent side of real estate about 2.5 years ago. Before that, I was a teacher. I taught for 6.5 years at Destrehan High School. I was teaching physical science. But early on, I had a love for real estate, kind of in a different way from the investor side. When my wife and I bought our first foreclosure, and we worked on it and lived in it for 2 years. I mean, we had roommates. We were pooling all our money because as a teacher, your salary's limited, and I knew I wanted to kind of keep moving up, and the only way to do that was to get a little creative. So we sold that house, moved up to another one, and kind of repeated the process a few times until we were able to buy a townhouse, a rental property, and we worked on that and slowly started growing that. And when my daughter was born, it's sort of I don't know, something went off and said that this isn't quite enough, or it was expending too much of my time and energy to earn this when maybe I could explore something else. And real estate already kind of was in my toolbox to a certain degree. I had knowledge of sort of what goes on from the buyer side. And I think that gave me a lot of insight moving forward as an agent, because I'd been on the other side of the table so many times, and I've seen the inner workings and what it takes to, what's wrong with a house. I can walk in there. I've walked in there several times with buyers, and I said, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. So it saves me a lot of time because I know what I'm looking for. I know where there's problems. I know where we don't even have to bother going under contract because this thing is not working. This thing's got a 6-inch lien. It's got a gangster lien going on. And we just
Gangster lien. 504 boys, right?
Yeah, and so hopping into real estate, I didn't know really where to start. I had my good friend Jason who was in it, and I sort of bounced around. Well, I didn't bounce around, but I interviewed with different brokerages to sort of get a feel for them. And it's funny, some of them wouldn't even talk to me, said, yeah, maybe later, or here's a personality test, and let's see if we have a fit for you. And they didn't. So, that's fine. But they send me gift cards every week now too.
Right? Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I tell people, man, all the time. It's I talk about Brian a lot, man, because Brian and I have been really, kind of. We used to sit in an office when I talk about guys having my office that I've gotten rid of. Brian and I used to sit kind of next to each other and just stare at each other in that office. And it's part of the reason why we got rid of the office. But it's the pretty woman thing when you say huge, big mistake. And it is. It's like you got to recognize, or at least. One thing. Okay, let me start. One thing I tell you about Brian is personality-wise, man. He's a great person. If you would have just even met with this guy, you'd have been okay. There's something special about him. Like him and I grabbed coffee, and just talked. I was like, this guy's great, and I didn't specifically. I just brought him into the company. I didn't specifically make an offer as a brokerage, but you could tell there was something about him, and I could tell you, I know his business inside and out. We talk a lot, and the great thing, Brian, I want you to talk about today is that. You really don't make cold calls. You don't do that type of business. This guy's sphere of influence business, guys, is crazy. You want to talk about how to learn, how to work your sphere of influence. He went to an amazing Catholic school right outside of New Orleans, and he works a sphere of influence probably better than anyone that I know in any current market. So maybe, Brian, talk about that a little bit, but I do want to kind of get back.
You just kind of set that lob up right there. So let's
into a few other things about how you.
Yeah, some of it is a mystery. I must admit.
Right. It's not. It's not. You might think it is, but it's not.
Well, it's sort of the notion of pay it forward, and it's amazing how some of these relationships I've been fostering from when I was a kid,
right,
are now coming to fruition now when I'm an adult. As far as support, as far as business, as far as just these loving friendships that I have with so many people. So it always comes from a place of help. Like people know that if they need help that they can call me, and it doesn't have to do anything with real estate. They know that I'm going to be there for them. And so when it comes to something like real estate, it becomes easy. They know exactly who to call, and there's no really ifs, ands, buts about it. So, it feels good. It feels good to help people. And especially in real estate, like I've always said, my personal story is using real estate to store and build my wealth. And so I have such a belief in that it becomes this, you need to buy a house. Like a lot of the kids that I taught are now coming to me and they're like, should I buy a house? I'm like, yes, you should buy a house. You have a stable job now. Some of them are sitting on savings that I'm like, what are you doing with this? Like you need to invest this. If it's sitting in your account, it's doing nothing for you. And so it's just sort of a never ending cycle of that you just, once you help people, even people that I don't know are now being brought into the fold because they're being recommended by me. And it's you build that database. My goal was always to get to that like 100 mark of 100 clients. And once you get there, it's done. I mean, you don't have to buy leads and you don't have to keep doing cold calls and stuff. I did a little bit of that in the beginning, but I've slowly moved away from it and it's been amazing to get away from that because how much I hate it.
So, like you're building your business mainly on sphere of influence, and you're trying not to get into the like honestly, if you just really spend a lot of your time doing sphere of influence, you don't have to do the old school stuff, the cold calling, all that cold traffic. You don't have to generate it all because it's coming right to you, right? But you're talking about your main methodology of building out your sphere of influence business is contribution, is, they can rely on you. Like, what are you talking about exactly? Are you one of those realtors that has, one of those moving vans that you have branded as like, I'll move your house? Or like, what do you do to contribute? Like, what kinds of things are you doing when you say, you're always there for them? Like, what do you mean by that?
It's whatever it takes. I have a client right now. I don't know her very well, but she lives out of state. So I went through her garage. I cleared out all the trash, set it out on the curb, and then arranged for her brother to come pick it up, helped him load it up on a trailer and get it out. It's sort of whatever hurdles make the buying or selling process more difficult, I'm going to remove them because that's just how I operate. So
Right.
it's whatever needs to be done will be done, and that's sort of the idea. I want it to be a stress-free process because there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of time involved. This can be a crazy process. And so if you can give people a little bit of comfort and a little bit of ease, like, oh, they line up a list, I have to do this, this, and this. Well, I can take care of half of that stuff. You worry about what I can't take care
Okay.
of. You know?
All right. So you do what I practice, like what I call the extra mile, right? The extra mile is paved in gold is something that I say all the time. And going above and beyond for your customer, taking half of their checklist off of their hands, because God knows that, right? We all know that it's hairy. It's crazy when you're moving, right? It's so incredibly disruptive to your life when you're moving from one place to another. So you're taking the load off their shoulders. You're organizing things for them. You're going the extra mile. And you would say that is your secret sauce to generating lots of referrals and repeat business.
Yep. That's the secret sauce. And also I have to acknowledge that I've lived in one area my whole life, and my sphere has grown in so many ways because of growing up outside in Destrehan and being a part of that community for so long, then going to high school and growing a community in Metairie inner area and New Orleans, then going to college at LSU, and now I know people in Baton Rouge and Lafayette. Studying abroad, so I know people in North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas. I mean, I've always been involved in so many things that have naturally grown my influence when it comes to business, but it never intended to be that way. So I will acknowledge that some of that comes from
it is though, Brian.
Seeds planted.
We talked about that. I mean, you were the one that really kind of we honed in on that geo-targeted scale niche, and you guys don't know the New Orleans real estate market, but it's a very small market. I mean, it's not. I mean, it extends like 10 miles, and you can capture so much audience in that particular time frame. And again, I want to reiterate, guys, personality. Brian's not scared to go talk to somebody. Okay, and that's what's really made his business, I know, great, is because he has this great personality. And he'll tell you, I mean, you guys don't know this. This guy's a lead singer of a band, so he's just got that very outgoing, front running, he could sing to a crowd type of personality. And I know a lot of people out there don't have that type of personality. So, Brian, maybe just advice wise, I always like to put you on up in front too, and somebody that doesn't have your personality, that very outgoing, shining, glowing light all the time. What do you recommend for people that might not be that way?
Well, there's one thing you can't avoid is you have to talk to people. It doesn't have to be on this grandiose scale of, speaking in front of people and public events and all that stuff. But it's amazing what will happen when you just have a conversation. What will come about when you just talk to someone. I can think on so many times where I've been just saying, "Hey, what's going on? Like, where are you from?" And I don't even mention real estate or that I'm in real estate, and suddenly, the inevitable question comes up. Well, what do you do? And then it's like, oh, well, I have this house that I need to get rid of, or I'm moving. You think you can help me find a place here? And it's kind of incredible. And one thing you can't neglect too is your fellow agents.
Very true.
Although you kind of are in competition, I never really think of it that way. I think of it as my sphere can now interact with your sphere. I mean, just the other day, I happened to go to it was a building that they're leasing a whole bunch of luxury units in New Orleans. And I just happened to go. It's like raining. It's raining its ass off, and I could have easily just turned around and went home. But I said, let me just go. I haven't been out and about as much as usual with COVID. So I went and I wound up talking to this agent, and he happens to say, "Hey, you got any listings coming up?" I said, yeah. Actually, I got, named a few listings I had coming up. He's like, "Oh man, I got this guy relocating. He needs a place in it. Can we go see it?" Well, we're going at 11 o'clock today. We're going to go check it out. So we haven't even sold before I even listed. And that just came from a conversation.
Right.
It came from just saying hello and, laughing about the cookies that they're serving, and suddenly now it means direct business for me. And it's crazy. And that's how things happen. Relationships just happen that way. It starts from the smallest little seed, from you and I, Anthony, meeting in a coffee shop, to now,
Yep.
being part of this. So,
Well, I talk about it all the time, Brian. It's like people hide behind social media and they hide behind these websites. And that's something, I mean, guys, I'll never forget, Brian and I used to generate a lot of buyer leads via social media in New Orleans. A lot. I'm talking a ton. And Brian comes to me one day, he's like, Anthony, turn it off. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, turn this shit off. I don't want to do it. He goes, I mean, what we were doing, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 leads. I mean, I remember Hung Lee saying, dude, you guys unbroke the internet. Like some of these leads we were generating. And Brian said, he goes, dude, this is not my business. I don't want to do this. I don't want to chase somebody who doesn't care about me. I want to go after these people who know me. And he did. He's built it. And guys, this is from a guy who was a new agent. Essentially, he wasn't a buyer's agent with me, but he was kind of like working a lot of buyer leads with us at that time. And he'll tell you, he said, turn it off. And now, mind you, I want to repeat this. I mean, Brian was getting this for free. It wasn't like he was spending a bunch of money doing it. And he still said, turn it off. So maybe Brian, talk about that, because so many people are just burning time, man, chasing that type of business.
Yeah, and that's not at all. And it's just never produced anything. And even when it does work, okay, you get a random buyer. A lot of the times it's really just a transaction. And sometimes it happens too fast that you never get to know the person, or the type of people that find a realtor that way. Also, they kind of don't want to be bothered so much either. So it's just like a going through the motion kind of transaction, and it doesn't really fulfill you.
It's so true, Brian, because there's so many agents that I talk to that are transaction based. I mean, they do the numbers. And they just keep doing the numbers. And I'm like, every year you got to keep doing those numbers. And the really interesting part is they don't increase the numbers. Like, again, I'm not knocking Zillow, but the people who spend the marginal money, the small money on Zillow, let's talk about $1,000 to $2,000 a month, which is small, they're transaction based. That's it. Yeah. And those Zillow people, they don't turn into lifelong friends. They don't.
No, they don't. So from a personal standpoint, it doesn't really give you much fulfillment. And then from a standpoint, it's probably just a one and done kind of thing, and it's unfortunate.
Guys, it's not just that. It's not just the emotional, that feeling, that interaction, that being able to serve people. You also have to take a look at the cost of sale. Right, you have to break down the cost of sale on a lead like that. It takes 3 to 4 times longer for you to nurture and to serve that kind of a lead and to convert that lead. I did this on my real estate team last year. Mm-hmm. The best leads that came in were off of social media that already knew our people. So we spent all our time on social media, really getting our visibility and our authority out there, and it works like a charm. It really cut down the time, and it cut down the education process, everything. It just cut down. It just made it more streamlined. The trust factor was high right off the bat, so you didn't have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. It was you have to take a look at the cost of sale, the emotional value that you're getting from people and giving to people at the same time, right?
Yes, because that trust is everything. Because you can have, if a buyer, you sit down with a buyer, you go through your consult, and if they listen to everything you're saying, because you've done this so many times that you know how to guide them. If they listen, it becomes the easiest transaction, and they'll even tell you. They'll say, "Man, I thought this was going to be a lot more difficult." Mm-hmm. I hear it every single time that I
know, right?
It's the way you set the stage.
They're like, "Man, it's kind of like everything you said." I'm like,
"Well, that's the result we want. We want that. That was easy, kind of." Results. Wow, that was fast.
It's
and
a
it's
business.
fun. It's so much fun.
It's a business purpose, guys. And the reason why I say that is like I'm gonna get probably a little bit of shit for saying that, the Zillow thing and all that, but I'll tell you, it's back to the way you function your business. If you function your business at a transactional based level and you don't focus on sphere of influence, or like Brian said, having fun, that's the way you're gonna treat it. It's not like you have this transaction based business and all of a sudden you're gonna change your business model and turn into a sphere of influence. And that's what I mean by that. Because look, there's nothing wrong with spending $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month on Zillow if you work it properly.
That's right.
Okay, that is the big difference. But if you go, you spend leads, you have no data. You know how many agents I talk to that spend thousands of dollars a month and have no database for follow up? I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely. It is. And I say, look, turn off that database, take that $2,000, have a pizza party every month for your clients. And they look at me like I'm crazy.
Anthony, let's talk about this. Let's get Brian's opinion on this too, because there's a lot of agents out there that are transactional. They don't know they're transactional, or maybe they were taught that way, or maybe they just kind of fell into that kind of a sales process. I would probably say about 20% of the agents that I coach are focused on relationship. And that's where we want to be, because that's the easy money. It's repeat business and it's easy to scale. So in your opinion, how would you go from, I have a database of 10,000 people. I churn and burn like 30 deals a year. I don't have a relationship with my clients. I don't send out any cards or gifts or any kind of relationship. I do not follow up with them after a sale kind of agent. They're transactional, pure, they're successful, but transactional. How would you say they have a huge database? How would you suggest for them to move that from a transactional to a relationship based?
Well, it's exactly what you said. The first thing I would do is pick up the phone and call them.
Yep.
Hey,
Okay.
how you doing?
Right.
That's it.
Wait. So repeat that, Brian.
Hey,
That.
Wait a
What
minute.
do you mean pick up a phone and
I
call
thought
them?
we were going to get
how's it
complicated.
been? So I have like this timer in my head, and Anthony, he hates me because I ignore all systems basically. But I have this clock in my head.
Yeah.
And there's a database in one end, there's a clock in another, and I say, you know what? It's been a long time since I've talked to so and so. Let me see what they're doing. And I call them. We talk for 10 minutes. That's it. Just checking up on them. And I say, all right, well, y'all need anything? Call me. Goodbye.
That's it. And that just goes to show you guys, that's how even systematizing. I mean, like I went from full blown technology databases to whiteboards to notebooks. I mean, as long as you're making the phone calls consistently, it doesn't matter how the hell you do it. And Brian says that. Oh, Anthony, I do give him shit. I mean, Brian and I talk a lot. I try to get him, just, I could say systematized, but it's working for him. I mean, look, I can sit there and tell this guy, Brian, you're doing this wrong. Meanwhile, the bastard's making $200,000-$300,000 a year in GCI. He's not doing it wrong. He's doing it his way, and it works his way.
Well, because there is no right way.
Exactly.
It's your way, and
what works for you.
And what I just said ties into what we were talking about before. It's easy to pick up the phone and call these people and see how they're doing because I love these people. I care for these people. I have been a part of their lives, and because they're in my sphere, I'm not calling them to hit them up for business. I'm calling them because I genuinely want to know how they're doing. And so it becomes easy, and it becomes enjoyable to pick up the phone and call people instead of I know I'm about to be hung up on and screamed at.
So what if you're okay? So you're mentoring Joe the agent. Joe the agent is not a very personable person, right? Is not like doesn't actually care like you care. Like you pick up the phone because you care, right? And that's something that drives you as a human being and also as a service professional. Not everybody has those feelings, right? So what about Joe the agent that's like, yeah, I'm transactional because I don't really give a shit, but I really want to build out my sphere because it makes good business sense. Like what would you suggest for somebody like that? Because there's all types of realtors out there, and you're the share and care type of realtor. But what about the other guys?
In my opinion, keep buying leads and keep blowing and going because it's not going to work. You can't build the sphere and off of that if you just care about the transaction. In my opinion, I may be wrong, but
So find a way.
I don't think they'll call you back. I think the next time they need a real estate agent, they'll do the same thing. They'll log on to Google.
They're going to.
They'll say,
Absolutely.
"Oh, this guy looks cool. Let's use this." Or,
That's the difference is building long term like that. And again, there's nothing wrong. If that's your personality, great. So be it. If it works for you, you make your money, you're happy. But Brian said something earlier, guys, and this is something that you need to know and understand. He's having fun. Okay? And that's just what he does different. And look, if you don't find hanging out with clients, doing parties, him and I used to do at our office, do a big crazy tailgate Saints party, and we had a blast. We probably drank a little too much a few times and everything like that. But I mean, we were having fun and making money doing it. What's that?
I know someone did.
Right. We had the Snapchat videos. I'm like, oh man, that was rough. But it was, we had fun. I mean, we were having a blast, and we're entertaining the clients, and it's things like that, that we shifted into. And Brian, Brian, I want you to talk about, you were a school teacher, man, and you were making a certain amount of money a year, and you were stationary to obviously a classroom and a job. And so now maybe talk about that, because I brag about you a lot. You probably know that, man. Talk about that evolution for you.
Well, I stopped having fun. And as a teacher, I had a blast going every day and interacting with the kids, teaching them, being creative, getting outside the box. And teaching started to become you cannot get outside the box. You have to do this, this, and this. And it became a top-down sort of, this is what you teach and this is how you're going to teach it.
Right.
And it just wasn't fun for me anymore. I didn't believe that it was in the kids' best interest either. So that's what opened up a window for me to jump out.
Nice.
And luckily the drop wasn't far.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because I left at a time where my daughter had just been born. Teaching's a stable job. Say what you want. It's guaranteed. This is what you're going to make. You got great benefits. So it wasn't so much of that, but it stopped being fun, and it started to be this. It became another animal, and that's kind of my worry with education now. I won't go down that road, but
sure.
But it allowed me to explore.
Totally different podcast.
Yeah, but it allowed me to explore something else, and it allowed me to. This job is so much about what you put in, and it's however you want to do it. There's no go back to there's no right way. It's your way, and there's so many ways to succeed. Going to EXPCon or going to some of these large events, and like you said, hear from agents from different walks of life, from different regions of the country, from different parts of the world, even, and what they're doing. It's like, man, this guy's doing something completely different than me, but it's working. And man, it's working. I mean, guys are way more successful. I'll never forget, what's her name from Dallas, Anthony?
Sherry?
No, not Sherry. Anyway, I'll think of it in a second. She blew me away the way she just, farms her neighborhood and stuff like we just talked about, how much she cares about her community, because this is where her family lives. So she has a direct interest in how she wants to be perceived, and also how she wants her neighborhood to be run. So she's constantly working on her small little neighborhood, volunteering, doing this and that. And I took so much away from that, because that's something that can be applied to my neighborhood too. So a lot of things are like, this won't work where I live, but a lot of things do. And you just haven't thought of them.
Well, you're being learning based, and you got into business with great people. I mean, look, okay, you got into business with me, but what I'm getting at is that you got into the business. You're open minded, and now, you're having fun. And did you quadruple or 5x your income?
Yeah, I did.
So I mean, people are on the fence. They have these jobs. I talk to so many people, and they have these jobs, and they're on the fence, and they're not happy with it. And what I'm going to do next? I'm like, guys, this guy's a prime example. If you are a school teacher or in hospitality and things like that, and you're on the fence, I mean, he's a prime example. And I can tell you, I know Brian enough to where he works his butt off, but he's also having fun doing it, guys. And that's been the crazy part. So I do want to congratulate you, Brian, because I mean, you were just featured in Real Producer New Orleans, which is the big, real estate publication. Man, what top, 5% in real estate agents in all of New Orleans area?
Yeah, the top 500, and I was ranked 250. So I'm right up
250
there
out of like what, 6,000, something like that,
Yeah,
7,000,
5,800, something like that.
5,800. There you go.
All right.
So less than 3 years in the business, top 250, top 5% in a big New Orleans real estate market. Who would want to have their business run like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, okay. Can I ask you another question then? Because there's a lot of agents out there that are transactional and they want to get into the sphere. And one of the key elements, the pillars, it sounds like, because you've mentioned it pretty much the entire call, is fun. So how do you have fun with your sphere? What kind of things do you do to engage with your sphere to have fun, right?
Oh man, we'll walk into the first house we're reviewing and be like, "Welcome to House Hunters New Orleans. This one comes fully furnished with a breakfast nook, a covered patio, and a heated spa for Susan." Just stupid stuff like that. Like, everything doesn't have to be so serious. We have fun. We'll say, "Well, this house is crap. Let's move on to the next one." But then
so you do, like, on your day-to-day, you're doing a buyer tour and you're just messing about with clients at the same time. Okay, so it's just a fun attitude. So a fun attitude. What else do you do?
That's the main thing, is just make it a fun outing. Make it exciting. Like, buying a house should be exciting. It shouldn't be this whole checklist in your mind, and just making a joke and just sort of having fun with it relieves so much anxiety with some buyers that they're just, the whole time in their head, they're like thinking, they're reading everything they read online. And when you just sort of open up like that and share some of the past experiences that you had, it sort of sets their mind at ease. And
so telling stories and sharing your past experiences with them to get like third-party points of view and stuff on their particular situation and get them more comfortable while they're going through the tour and things like that. Interesting.
Yeah, and getting them to visualize going through their daily life in this house is what I always kind of tell them. I'm like, yeah, this house is great, but can you see yourself like waking up in the morning, going to work? Like, what will be the biggest downfall of this house? What do you like the most about it, but what also doesn't work about it, and can we change it? Is it something that
asking powerful questions?
Yeah.
I mean,
is it something that, oh man, we hate the color of the walls in this house? Well, you can paint them,
right?
But it's funny, some buyers, that doesn't even cross their mind. They're like,
I know. I actually lost a deal because of paint color one.
Yeah.
But the funny part is when you get into those conversations, you're like, "Oh man, this is messed up," and they think it's tens of thousands of dollars to fix these things. And I'm like, I mean, it can be. I mean, such an easy. And that's great that you brought that up, Brian, because one, you kind of like very similar story. I got into real estate because I was invested in properties, and you kind of had that know-how. And now, I mean, you're actually flipping a good bit of properties, so you have a lot of knowledge, and you can really help people. And that's where, guys, I mean, look, not everybody's going to be flipping houses. Not everybody's going to be into investment properties, but knowledge is power, okay? I'll never forget, some of my agents would walk into a house and like, "Oh, man, that ceiling fan's ugly." And they would turn it into like this, "Oh, shit, that ceiling fan's ugly," like almost like a negative storyline walking in, whereas that fan could be changed for $100. Who cares?
Yeah.
And that's right. A mindset. Which is so important. It does. It helps. I mean, so many times, like the same thing, I'll walk in like, "Oh, I hate this wall." Shit, it's $50 to take that wall out.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Anthony, it also presents a solution, right? So if
Absolutely.
Guys, listen, I know you don't like that ceiling fan. If this is your forever home, I'll take care of the ceiling fan for you, right? We'll go out and pick one at Home Depot or whatever, and I'll have it installed for you. You'll have a wonderful ceiling fan. I'll take care of everything for you, right?
I've installed ceiling fans or like space heaters and things like that at that time,
Oh,
and got to a certain point in my business where I was like,
especially for renovators, right? I'm actually might fix and flip a property down here in Tulum soon. So that stuff's easy. Or you just get somebody to do it for you, but it creates an opportunity for extra service. It just creates an opportunity for going the extra mile, right?
It does.
Yep.
And it does go above and beyond. I got to the point in the business where I had I had people on call where I could be like, hey, Bob needs this fixed. Go out there, and I'd pay for it. And it is, you nailed it, Dustin, solution-based. Okay? Yeah. You have to be a problem solver. Look, in life and in business, you need to be a problem solver. I mean, look, Brian has 2 kids. He's a husband. How many problems you solve in your household daily? There's nothing different, in business. You were a school teacher. How many problems would you solve a day? That's what I tell people that are looking to get into real estate. All you need to do is be a great connector and a problem solver and be focus-based, positive mindset, and you will take off. And that's one thing Brian's had, go reach out to Brian, hear his story, because Brian has had a lot of challenges in the business. Certain things have hit him in life, where he could have shut down completely. And this guy stayed positive, stayed energetic. It's not a time that I can personally say that Brian was really in a bad mood. And it's he's such a positive energy and a great person to be around. And guys, if you can take your business and your life that direction and learn from this guy and Brian, maybe everybody could find out how to reach out to you. It's life changing for sure.
Yeah, and when you have when you have a sphere like the one that I've been trying to foster, is they lift you up too when you need it.
Oh, for sure.
On a personal level and on a business level, they're there. It's funny how when you continue to reach out like this, you may have a dip in business and suddenly you get a phone call and it's a referral from someone and it lifts you up. It's like, man, they were thinking about me enough to send someone over to me, to send a loved one or a friend over, and that lifts you up a whole lot. But 90% of your life is solving problems, unfortunately. Nothing ever goes as planned. No transaction is going to be the same. You get lucky every once in a while. You're like, you don't want to say anything, and this is going too well. You're thinking it, but you don't want to say it out loud. But yeah, there's always going to be some sort of problem, but it can all be solved. I love what you said about, the knowledge that you gain through understanding not only what it takes to sell a house, but also what it takes to fix a house and what it takes to, it's the relationships you foster with contractors. Contractors are such a huge part of real estate. And it's another way that I gain business too, is referring contractors to other people that need work. So, a buyer can walk into a house and say, oh my God, we can't afford this. This would be $5,000. I'm like, no, it'll be about $1,100.
Right.
It'll be what? Yeah, it'll be about $1,100. Sure enough, I'm so good at this now that I'll be within $100.
Right.
Of an estimate. I'm good with it now. So I'm like, no, that's going to cost you $1,100 exactly. And sure enough, I'll send out for a quote to one of the contractors that I trust. I'll refer them over, $1,100. It's done. And they're like, wow, I would have passed up on this because I didn't know what it took. So you got to create relationships with people related to real estate as well.
Yeah, your support. They're your support team, right? I call them the real estate response team. But a lot of people forget that. When you're talking about your sphere and you're talking about sphere-based marketing, relationship-based marketing, that you can't ignore the trades that support our industry. You're never by yourself when you're doing a transaction. You always have 3 or 4 other professionals always touching the transaction one stage or the other, right? So tap into those people. If you keep on referring them and you have a great relationship with them, they're going to send you more business. I did 4 deals last year from referrals from people that I was sending business to, right?
Yeah. And Anthony told me this from day one.
What's up?
To build your team. Build your team of people that are going to support you in the business in every aspect, because they're going to help you solve these problems too.
How much of a game changer is that when you have these people that have your best interest also? I talk to agents all the time who use multiple lenders and multiple insurance people. And they our lender that we use, Brian and I use the same guy. When I call, he answers. And I'll be honest, I haven't sent him business in over 2 years. But anytime I'm in town, I was in town the other day, had to use office, yep, come in, boom, whatever you need, Anthony, do it, It's relationships again, guys. It's all it is. If that lender or inspector or insurance guy or title company, if you're not willing to go spend and have a vacation with them, then you shouldn't be using them.
Yeah,
Plain and simply
because
put.
like anything in life, you can't do it alone. You can
Right.
think you're the greatest real estate agent in the world. You got this and that. You can't do it by yourself.
Nope.
And you have the professional side and you got the personal side with those relationships. Like I've got a lawyer that I was sending 350 deals a year to. And obviously he was very, 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 very responsive with me and my team and my business. He'd give us flat screen TVs and he'd give us vacations to Vegas and things like that to give away to our team because we have that kind of reciprocal relationship. We send them a lot of business, but we'd also hang out. Right? He'd also come to all our parties. He would come to everything. Like he was part of the family. You know what I mean? And that's an important part. It's like you treat vendors like you're,
Sorry about that.
Yep.
When you're doing a client appreciation event or something, invite your damn vendors. Invite those.
The vendors should be paying for the client appreciation party.
I wasn't going down that road, man. That's what I do for sure. But you know what? You need to include these people as part of your family because if you make them feel like they're part of your culture and they're receiving a ton of business, they'll fight for your business. They will work your business like it's their own.
Well, it's because with any relationship, when you commit to them, they will commit to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's it. You know.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
No, that's good stuff. I mean, Brian, so it's like, when speaking about, like, let's go back to your database. You mentioned something, so I'm curious, and I'm going to ask you a question right now because I don't know the answer right now. Are you tracking your database on something? I know you said you're using it in your head right now, but how are you tracking these people? Because I know you, I know you have a sizable database. I know you're doing these type of events, okay? And I mean, are you pushing this out? Like, are you tracking this on some type of level?
It's a work in progress. Yeah, I mean,
I kind of knew that answer, guys, and I want y'all to understand. Again, I mean, this guy is making a lot of money in real estate, and this is something that I do with Brian. Brian and I decided to be in business many years ago. He joined, obviously, EXP Realty with me, and I've been coaching up, and he's taught me a lot. It's like this is the amazing part about our relationship. This guy came into the business and, didn't know a damn thing about selling real estate, and yet I helped him like that, and he's helped me with so many other things too. And so, Brian, our next call, we're going to talk about getting that shit into some type of, because man, your database, your people, I mean, I don't know if you're doing the client parties yet because of COVID, and I think we've had this crazy, interesting transition. I mean, you've been a year and a half in the business, and damn COVID now it feels like. So we need to take that to that next level, man, with your parties and all. So that's something we're going to talk about for sure.
That would be an interesting call, Anthony. Maybe we should put a panel together of all these relationship-based marketing realtors that are very successful. How to continue doing that during COVID when you can't throw parties and do things in person.
I mean, Brian doubled his business during COVID.
Right? A lot of relationship-based marketers are all doubling their business during COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all, but I would be very curious. I'd be curious to see what people are doing to adapt with business because pre-COVID it was all in person, belly to belly, right? And then during COVID, you can't do as much. But the relationship-based realtors are thriving and they're eating everybody else's meal. It's awesome to see. So I'm just very curious I think we should put a bunch of them together, Anthony, and see what.
Brian, you ready?
I agree. I would love to hear from you.
Look at that. Michael's like, yes, we definitely need that. Yes, we need that.
Well, Brian, I know we're going to wrap up, man. So anything you want, Garrett, tell everybody how to get in touch with you. I know you got a busy day, man. And I appreciate you taking your time to meet with us. How can people get in touch with you? How can people learn or maybe even get in business with you?
My line is always available. I've mentored a lot of people through the EXP Mentor program, and a lot of them still call me all the time to handle their transactions. I'm always, doesn't matter who you are, what you want, just call me. Even if you have a problem.
Give everybody your number and how they can get you.
Yes. Can I answer it in the chat here?
No, just tell it live too. You're good.
Yeah, just search me on Facebook, or my number is 504-352-9039. Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You can look me up, and I'd love to hear from a lot of y'all too, because it's amazing a lot of discussions that we have. what'll blossom from even somebody who just started in the business has something to offer.
I'm gonna challenge everybody out there. This guy, has quadrupled his income from a very steady, consistent job, and he's offering advice and opportunity, you guys. And let's just make sure we understand this for free. He just gave you his phone number. He gave you. So I'm gonna challenge people. If you're listening to this, reach out to this guy. And this is something that I like to talk about. When someone offers an opportunity to coach you or mentor, have a conversation with you, and they're killing it. Why aren't you guys taking advantage of that? Okay. And it's like, there's so many of you real estate agents out there that are struggling, can't get deals done, and yet y'all sit back and don't take that action. I'm challenging everybody right now. Take the action. Reach out to Brian. Find out what the hell he's doing. I'm going to tell you, he's one of the best people I know. Just a great person looking to help everybody, and just truly, truly, truly very humble. And I know for a fact if you reach out to him, he will offer advice. So there's your challenge. I want to see everybody go on it, go after it.
Go get it. Go get it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just be teachable. Absorb
Yes.
as much as you can.
Learning based.
From the teacher to now being the student, and you're a student every day, whether you know it or not, and just sort of learn what other people do, and it may not be what works for you, but at least give it a try. And a TED Talk I listened to recently that I recommend for everyone to go watch. It's called Off Balance on Purpose. It's excellent. It's all about how we're always trying to achieve this life balance, but really you should be putting yourself off balance, because when you become off balance, it pushes you forward. It keeps you from falling backwards and staying
uncomfortable
in that place.
For sure.
Getting out of your comfort zone and just kind of trying new things. Because if you always did what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. That was my football coach said.
One of my first mentors say that all the time.
Thanks for having me, guys. I enjoy watching you two and learning from you two as well. So can't thank you enough.
Cool.
All right.
All right, man. Good day, Brian. Rock it out in New Orleans for me, buddy.
All right. See y'all later.
Have a great day. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Mega Mornings.
Gotta get more
All
coffee.
right. So if you want more information about Mega Momentum, go to megamomentum.team. We got some badass coaching in there. We got all kinds of really cool content for you. So check it out, megamomentum.team. And don't forget to like and follow our YouTube channel, because you definitely need to tap into all the juice that we got going on. We got some big stuff coming down the pipeline. So ciao for now, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Go crush it.